As the labor unions celebrate the new minimum wage of 30,000 naira, let's not forget that thousands of workers in 17 states of the Federation are being owed salaries for varying months. Despite receiving bailout funds from the federal government for the purpose of settling salaries and the Pari Club grants, these governors have refused to pay the salaries and diverted the monies to other things. What is very interesting is the fact that the federal government, the Senate, the ICPC, the central bank, and various agencies have been quiet about this. No one has been summoned to the Senate. Some of these governors have been re-elected, some are asking for re-election. Yet, these workers are being owed and nothing happens. Today on Root Cause, we are looking at this phenomenon, this culture of owing salaries by governors and these governors getting away with it without any punitive measure. My name is Gloria Oji Emode. And to have this conversation right here in the studio, I want to start with our legal counsel in the studio in the person of Martin Abba. Welcome, Martin.
Thank you, Gloria. It's a pleasure.
All right. And we have Jide Ojo, who's a public affairs analyst. Welcome, Jide.
Thanks for having me, Gloria.
All right. As the law is right now, have they broken any laws? What does the law say? Is there any provision of the law that looks into the fact that a governor or a person in power would owe salaries? Is there anything like that in our constitution or the law?
Well, that is the lacuna we always talk about with the laws. Both the 1999 Constitution and the various laws we have that are part and parcel of the Constitution. They are silent on this. The only thing the governors rely on is the fact that there is no specific legal provisions for punishment for such actions. What they do every month is they get allocations. How they spend it is not anybody's business. And there is no known legal provision that binds them to pay. And you and I know that where there is no law, there is no sanction.
The law on minimum wage is a law. It says workers are to be paid that amount. Don't forget, the president just assented to it.
To the new one, yes.
The minimum wage. So to that extent, there is a law that says you cannot pay me less. But the law is silent, like I said, on when to pay. Oh. It's about when to pay. Now, we all know that it's 30 days that makes a pay in civil service. But let me give you a scenario. I happen to have worked in the early 2000s with an organization, and they were owing me over a year's salary, 9 months really, 9 months salary. And I sought the assistance of a lawyer, even though I do not have money to pay, but I thought he could take up my case pro bono. And the lawyer asked me, do you think they have the ability to pay and are not willing to pay you? That's where we should start from. So when he said that, I was like, oh, so it's if they have money that they should pay me, not that it's mandatory that they have to pay me, even though they are the one that's engaged me to work for them. So for that singular reason, we couldn't even pursue a legal angle to it. Because he said the first thing you need to establish is ability to pay.
Which makes a lot of sense. Were they able to pay and they didn't pay? But a lot of people will say, these governments received the bailout fund, which means for some reason there was some sort of agreement with the federal government either to retrench or to pay less. whatever the agreement was, but they did receive billions in bailout funds. They also received part of
it actually went to trillions.
1.9 trillion.
Yes,
1.9 trillion, all about 23 states thereabout that received at the moment. Now, what of course, the Pari Club grants and all refunds and all of that, they got that. Now, the point is, some of these governors use these monies for running cost of government. We know in states where they bought cars for commissioners, where they paid themselves allowances, even backlogs of allowances, but did not pay these workers. So the question is, if you say you don't have money, where were you getting money to pay the legislators? Where were they getting money to run the government? Where were they getting money to travel and do all they needed, but didn't see fit to pay the salaries of those people you actually went to get the bailout funds for? That is just the question a lot of Nigerians are asking. You start and then Jide, you go.
Yeah, it continues and will continue to happen because none of the institutions of the state, the EFCC, the ICPC, as you mentioned, and even the police, they have not taken it upon themselves to prosecute even one single governor on account of this.
But you can't do that because they have immunity. You can't do that while they...
The immunity, yes, but immunity stops when you leave office. You know, your immunity stops when you leave office. So you can't hide under immunity for long. Even elsewhere, in more advanced societies, what they do is you are investigated as a governor, but you are not prosecuted.
But let me play the devil's advocate here, Gloria. I appreciate what my brother is saying, and he's on a very sure footing. But you see, I've also heard this governor say something. They were not elected to pay salaries alone. And they would tell the workers' union, look, when I was campaigning, I said I was going to do roads, I was going to provide education, I was going to do infrastructures. If I receive all of this money, I use it to pay salary. What's the percentage of the workers vis-a-vis the population of the state? You understand? The population of workers in the state is less than 10% of the population. Of the population, the size of the workforce,
the workforce in the state is less than 10% of the population
of the state. Sure. And so if you concentrate only on payment of workers' salary and you leave health, you leave education, you leave infrastructure, then you will be unpopular with the rest of the 90% who are not government workers.
So campaign-wise, when you talk about re-election-wise, it is not a very good idea for you to invest on the workers when you have another 70% of others who are not in the workforce.
Exactly.
So do well by that.
So what they try to do, and which is just a very good ruse. It's a ruse. Because even the so-called infrastructure they're talking about, they don't pay the contractors. The contractors are owed trillions. Trillions in money meant that they should have been used to pay for contracts that have been done. Some contractors have not been paid for the past 10 years.
So where is all this money going to?
That is the question. The question now means, you said something, I'm coming, Martin. You said something about wrong priorities. A governor that is not able to pay, not even workers alone, even pensioners, even contractors, will hire a flight from his state to Abuja at least twice a week.
Exactly.
Will go on shopping for foreign investor in China for 3 months at a go, saying that they are looking for foreign investor. The foreign investor that cannot come to you, you go to there with your family, spend the state resources on junketing around the world.
And no one asks and no one can hold them to account. And
no, when they come back, they will tell you they have just gotten technical partner to do one thing or the other. That is where it ends. And 6 months, 1 year down the line, no technical partner has shown up, no new industry has come up, nothing has been done. So they have a very clever ruse.
Let us bring it back home to the issue of the Paris Club reforms and the bailout funds. These are monies specifically meant for payment of salaries.
Exactly.
Where you don't pay, there is no other way to describe breach of trust. I mean, in our laws, the penal code, there is what we call criminal breach of trust. there is no other way to describe criminal breach of trust, because these are monies meant for a particular purpose.
Specifically for payment
So
of salary.
where you now divert such funds, you should be addressed, you should be investigated and prosecuted for such. Now, like I said before, the problem we have in this country is that the institutions we have that are meant to investigate and prosecute are not strong. They only investigate and prosecute when Oga at the top says you should do. And that is wrong. At this level of the states, yes, we agree, yes, the governors have immunity and other stuff, but the immunity ends the day you leave office.
The workers' union themselves need to take up issues with the Nigeria National Industrial Court.
Yeah.
They can go to National Industrial Court to say, just like my learned colleague here said, there is a criminal breach of trust. We know XYZ amount that our state has collected. Exactly. This is the wage bill. The money that has been loaned to the state is enough to pay off not only workers, but even pensioners.
Exactly.
Why has the governor not paid? So the National Industrial Court is a court of superior record and can enter judgment compelling the state governor or whatever. Now, the issue we are dealing with is impunity based on partisan interest. The law is for your enemy, the exemption is for your friends. Usually, when you deal with, a party chairman allegedly said during the campaign that once you join our party, your sins are forgiven. So, if that is true, it's unfortunate because we are dealing with human lives here. And let's talk about the implication of what we are discussing now. This is why corruption will not end in Nigeria.
This is quite a topic that I am sure will continue in so many circles. We would like to hear your comments, read your comments on the comment section of this video. So go ahead and share them with us. A big thank you to you, Martin Abba, for talking to us. And of course, Jide Ojo, thank you for the great insight you've brought to this conversation. And of course, my name is Gloria Oje Emada. You have been watching Root Cause.